When you launch Minecraft and the title screen appears, you can see some pulsating and slanted yellow text beside the title of the game. This is the splash text. These messages are short, usually funny, sometimes abstruse, and are frequently a cultural reference. At other times, they say something a bit more earnest. That's when they can go a bit off the track as far as I'm concerned. First, let me describe what I like about the splash text. The splash text is a small but enjoyable bit of color at the beginning of your Minecraft session. The rest of the title screen is for all the information you might need to know or buttons you might need to press. They are functional. The splash text is spiritual, in a way, so to speak. It is what actually invites you in, like a welcoming gesture. So what is the mood of this gesture? Well, it's usually a bit cheeky, a bit fun, kind of funny, fairly quippy, quite nerdy, slightly sardonic, and profuse with a joy for knowledge. And this is as I think it should be. Minecraft thrives off of the essential qualities of detail, immersion, and frivolity. It is its own separate world, more than or as much as any other game. It is a pinnacle of escapism. The entire environment is one's own to shape. The horizon is endless. Landscapes upon landscapes for us to plunge deeper into as far as we wish to go. The goals are our own as well. Yes, there are advancements, but the core impulse of Minecraft is of self-directed play. We envelop ourselves within our own creativity. Such a world is a brilliant refuge for when the real world just doesn't measure up. It is a place to regain our energy and a sense of ourself. Or it can simply be an extra dollop of wonder, curiosity, and creativity. A fantastical cherry on top of life basic. When the splash text doesn't take itself or other things too seriously, then we too are primed for that frivolously creative mindset. It offers us a hand into a different headspace. That gesture is the joy and function of Minecraft, as it is for most games. You might think this escapism to be indulgent, immature, or even so irreverent as to be immoral. Yet there is wisdom to be found in the irreverence of relaxation. Our whole world right now seems all too serious. It seems so serious that we don't even give ourselves enough time to think. We are pushed and motivated to be amped up and engaged 24/7. Our phones tell us so, and our internal sense of societal dread tells us so. Yet there is supreme wisdom in an old phrase. Let's sleep on it. We so desperately need time to come down from the many emotional heights of our lives. If we are agitated, stressed, tired, scared, angry, etc., then we simply can't think too good. Many of these emotional states better ready us for action, but much perspective is surely lost in the process. To really be able to calm down and feel a sense of freedom again, it is essential for living a happy and wisely navigated life. To see something in its proper proportions, we must step away from the given situation, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That is the sacred role of games. The splash text, the goofiness and frivolity and oddity and randomness of it, it is an invitation into that sacred space of the game world. It is frivolous, but yet it is important. Also, things that seem random and without gilded purpose actually help to expand our sense of possibilities. To draw outside the lines helps us to find yet unthought of solutions to the problems of our lives, and to the problems of our world. If we do not let our imaginations run a little wild, we will not discover all the things that, come tomorrow, we will so greatly treasure. Some good examples of splash text are, as seen on TV, fat-free, and guaranteed. Though they do reference the often dubious sales tactics of the real world, these splashes are meant to poke fun at or have fun with such phenomena. They let you know that you're entering a headspace beyond the seriousness of the real world, bringing up the memes of salesmen, but to undercut them. It is irreverent. It is fun. Some other great examples are 150% hyperbole, never dig down, this is my true form, and any computer is a laptop if you're brave enough. These are wonderfully silly. There are also some nerdy ones like almost never is an interesting concept, and square root of -1 love you. The square root of -1 being the number/letter I. There are many references too. Look, Mom, I'm in a splash. Follow the train, CJ. Or it swings, it jives. Plus, play him off, keyboard cat. Where there is not light, there can spider. And my axe. Two of my favorite references are Engage, Star Trek, and That's Number Wang, Mitchell and Webb. All of these are fun and prime the mind for free relaxation. Then there are some examples that may, depending on the person, bring to mind seriousness not intended. There's The True Meaning of Covfefe, which might bring to mind the controversial societal landscape that emanates from Donald Trump. There's Call Your Mother, which touches upon family dynamics. and family dynamics are often troubled, especially for the person who might not have called their mom in a while. There is go to the dentist, which can bring up a nest of reminders about a person's societal struggles, as well as health concerns. If you're in poverty, proper dental care can be much further out of reach than it is for other people. And I'll throw in take frequent breaks, because it's annoying for a game to try to take the role of therapist, parent, or friend. These examples seem to be intended in good fun, so I'm inclined to be less critical of them, still worth noting. And so, I now move on to the weightier ones, the ones that are intended with a sense of seriousness. There's wash your hands, referring to the pandemic days, I would assume. Technoblade never dies, referring to a well-loved, now-gone Minecraft personality. And don't feed avocados to parrots, which seems to be a genuine bit of PSA, though I didn't do a deep dive on it. I get and respect the intention of all of these, but I begin to hesitate. In the grand scheme of things, my apprehension might not matter so much, and that is worth remembering. However, now is the moment I pull out my microscope and try to understand. My issue with all of these is not the intent, but with how well they fit into the role that the splash text serves. The splash text is the welcoming message to absolutely every player at the start of every gaming session. That is kind of a big deal. It's worth pausing to consider each player's experience and how the splash text endeavors to support it. I see the headspace of the game as a fun, free, and frivolous one. Importantly so. I also see splash text as a way to welcome a player into that specific headspace. So no matter how good the intentions, serious topics and messages are a dubious thing to include. Now there are positives to including these. Messages about the pandemic would have been somewhat comforting at the time, helping to give us all a greater sense of community. Messages memorializing Technoblade might have lended to a communal process of mourning, and PSAs about animal poisons might actually be gratefully informative. Yet they do also detract from the psychology of escapism, of which I think important. Of course, escapism in the extreme is not a good thing. We can become delusionally out of touch. We can become socially malnourished. Especially in this digital age, we seem to be more and more isolated. The globe reaches out so wide and far, yet we become smothered in the echoes of our own twisted thoughts. It is surely taking some serious toll on us. Extremes are so often damaging, and balance is, in so many ways, important, as it relates to fun versus responsibility, as it relates to solitude versus socializing, as it relates to personal needs versus altruistic interests. Finding the right balance is crucial across the entire scope of life. However, Minecraft is not life. It does not need to adhere to the overall sense of balance that we should strive for. That puts way too much importance on the game alone. Minecraft is on the fun side of the scale of a life well balanced. It need not balance the scales of our lives all by itself. That's not its role to play. The responsibility falls to ourselves and to any person who might be tasked to look after another person. The more imperfect the escapism, the more ineffective it is at contributing to our well-being. It's like finding grits of sand in one's dinner. Try enjoying that. We spit them out in surprise and disgust. Such escapist disgust is not from a lack of compassion. It is just the jolt we feel when switching from one context to another without warning. The experience is like having someone peek their head into the room when you're laying back, naked in the bath, relaxing in the warm water and distant silence, just for them to tell you how many kids died of starvation this year, or this very second. Maybe you felt the jolt I speak of just now. It's not that we don't care. It's just a matter of proper time and place. Don't rob us of our bath time. That's not going to improve us as decision makers. Funny enough, maybe this explains the occasional nerd rage over perceived political correctness in a favorite franchise. It need not automatically come from a place of bigotry. Some of them might just be startled by the incursion of societal issues into a space that had previously been their happy place. I imagine this. Their favorite franchise was a passion for which the strife of the world did not reach. Those domains of fiction were free from the daily stressors of living in a society. Then an emissary of the chaos of the world comes barging into their place of respite. A feeling pops up from within that maybe this place of respite will soon be taken over and exist no more. What once was a place to relax is now a place to again be confronted by the strife of the world. And if the societal issues at hand are laced with implications of shame, then that may add a special anxiety and defensiveness to one's reaction. We really can carry an awful lot of the world's trouble around with us, even without realizing it. It lurks in our soul unresolved and makes us a hair-triggered dickhead. But it's no good letting the culture war make us into another soldier. When we all get upset, we all drift away from true center. We all forget how to listen, we forget how to ground ourselves, so to also listen better, and center better towards the truth, whatever we may discover it to be. It may seem like a silly niche nerd problem, but it's a problem of the same continuum we all walk, that of self-regulation. None of us are invincible. We all need some amount of downtime, of recovery time, time to do nothing at all. It is part of our regular efforts to live well. In this way, our escapism is not indulgent, but sacred. Now, in this vein, there are a few more splash texts worth mentioning. We've got the examples Black Lives Matter, Educate your friends on anti-racism, and a handful of other messages in the same milieu. Some people might object to the game's inclusion of the phrase Black Lives Matter based solely on their personal, societal, or political views. Unfortunately, many people refuse to understand that the phrase was only meant to highlight how black lives have been undervalued in many societal domains, media coverage and policing in particular. Detractors responded with phrases like All Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter, as if refuting a notion of black supremacy or an attack on police officers. That need not be the intention of these race-centric sentiments. It was taken to mean something combative, tribalistic, zero-sum. They interpreted it through the lens of us versus them, and autofilled who the them were. Not that these sentiments can't ever be meant that way. There are those on all sides of every dividing line who want to fight a fight of total domination. But that's not automatically what need be meant. So there is definite merit within these phrases for one to appreciate. However, phrases go beyond just a phrase. It's not just a simple reminder for the game of Minecraft to place at the beginning of one's gaming experience. Phrases and sentiments can begin to associate with specific individuals of a real-life movement, individuals who can be fallible in their own ways. The player's memories are stirred to the sights and sounds of lived and/or recorded tragedy. One's awareness is drawn towards a contentious, even if important, societal discussion. The subject matter evokes imagery of harassment, poverty, malice, and of deaths of real people. All of this is laid out on the threshold of a person's gaming session. The player has chosen the game of Minecraft, a theoretically infinite world of their own creation. Yet they are greeted by the baggage of the world they sought to leave behind for a time. It is not that those issues are not important, or not worth discussing, or not deserving of greater attention. It's another case of wrong time and place. The world will not function any better by trying to extend the stresses of the world into our activities of relaxation. Stress is useless and destructive when prolonged. There are positives to experiencing stress. Stress can better inform our decisions. Stress can challenge us and make us stronger. But stress needs to be intermittent for it to be beneficial. We need time to recover. You wouldn't work out until your arms literally fell off. And as such, nor should we live in perpetual awareness of life's troubles. When we don't balance these things correctly, they become burnout, anxiety, trauma, stupidity, and depression. All of media and of entertainment is not responsible for all of our societal needs. In life and in culture, we have different spaces for different purposes. For example, we don't make everything kid-friendly. Some things are just for adults. We don't require comedies to include a minimum number of minutes performing drama. We expect our news programs to provide us real-world information, while sitcoms are understood to be both fictional and somewhat absurd. They are situation comedies by name and design. Every form of information has its own expectations and context. What is the context of video games? Well, for most games, they just give us a chance to fucking relax. Now there's one more example of splash text that will finish out my overall point. Yes, it's the phrases, you are valid, and the more specific, your gender is valid. Again, I will not criticize the intent. There are many different peoples who have had a real shitty time with simply trying to be accepted for who they are. People deserve respect, love, and acceptance. That's the long and short of it when it comes to topics like gender identity and sexuality. Still, the presentation here, in this context, seems ill-suited. The splash text is not just a sentiment of acceptance. It also brings up the reality of those who would disagree. After all, the sentiment would not even need to be expressed if there weren't those who would rather misunderstand and hate others over the same characteristics. So to summon the good here is also to summon the bad. Plus, it is foolish to think that one bit of text in a video game can solve such a personal and far-reaching struggle. For some it might feel nice. For others, perhaps not. One line of text cannot replace friends, family, community, etc. It's shallow. It brings up a difficult subject matter only to do very little about it. Minecraft is not the realm where such things even need be brought up. It shouldn't be important for a single-player experience. And it shouldn't be important for whatever multiplayer experience a person has. Sure, it could come up in conversation with fellow players. Such acceptance could even be highlighted by a particular server's community. But these are interactions of impact and depth. It is not the thin sentiment of a motto, but the foundational reinforcement of other real-time humans that accept you. When the player opens their game, they are looking for some sort of fantasy. They shouldn't be forced to confront the realities of the world first, for good or ill. That decision should be theirs to make. Also, when it comes to sexuality and possibly gender, we don't always want a really supportive response to our disclosures. We don't always want to feel like there's a soldier in the trenches with us. We don't always want to feel like there's another cheerleader to signal the crowd on our side of the field. Those gestures can be very uplifting for when we feel helpless and alone, yet they are also somewhat impersonal. They are slogans in a fight of ideas. They support us as our identities, but leave us empty as individuals. The best response to a disclosure of my sexuality that I could receive is actually an everyday, nonchalant one. A simple, "oh cool," and maybe a follow-up question that allows me to express the specifics of myself and my experiences. We come to these topics with so many hang-ups already. It is a pleasure to have it treated as simply no big deal. It's wonderful just to have our differences regarded as normal. We crave most of all to have the whole issue diffused, like a social bomb full of stress and self-consciousness. Poof, gone. For a time at least, but a beautiful time. So, I do not wish to speak disdainfully about any particular people or cause. Unfortunately, to bring up serious or controversial matters is to bring up the whole topic. It is not possible just to add a little token of support to the morally correct pile, clean and simple. We humans have complex inner lives. We know the greater threads within which each social issue suspends. You can see our species dance and dive our way through these obstacles of conversation on any given day of the week. We know the serious topics, the social landmines, the hot-button issues. Some run through them wildly, to varying results. Most navigate them nimbly, for we know the ripples that a subject matter can send out. And anyways, you cannot help us with the thin simplicity of a slogan, though they may have their place. So I say, give us our escape, for that temporary window of time that we may revel in it. It is not irresponsible, it is sacred. There are a multitude of other avenues to express those things that need to be expressed. Be creative. Right now, the splash texts often read more like a Twitter feed. Please don't make us read your Twitter feed, even if you're on the right side of history. Nobody wants that. Well, maybe some people want that, but it shouldn't be the default. The default should be get away, escape, just a nice little break. We all need that. It is a good thing. Let it take us away upon a bold and chilly gust. Let it help to calm us in the comfort at a winter's fire. Let us be immersed. What should the criteria for a splash text be, specifically? Well, that's hard to say. We all get triggered by different things. I certainly have my own weird triggers that have little to do with objectivity. I'd say the first criteria should be met by the writer's intention. Is it meant to be fun and frivolous? Is it an invitation to the mindset of play? Treasure that ethos. If the text is intended in such a way, then the results may exude that quality, honest and natural. It's worth being honest with ourselves in this matter. We often deceive ourselves as the truth shows up in the work regardless. Now, after the writer's intentions are on point, it would be a matter of making measured guesses about what different people might react to, which, I'll say, is the bread and butter of game design and playtesting. You can avoid certain hot-button topics if you'd like. That might work well, but it is a guessing game. Still, as long as the intention is on point, then the rest is just a bit of extra editing. Lastly, I will reiterate. Yes, this isn't that big of a deal. Within the scope that is all of life, this is basically irrelevant. And you can even turn off the splash text now. All the same, I think it's worth pausing to examine the ethos of gameplay. It is worth appreciating the value of play in our lives and at any age. It is something near sacred. A space to dream, a space to emotionally reset. A time frame where the brain may grow anew, reformed, improved. If you value any of the content I have released on any of my channels and would like to reciprocate financially, then I thank you. You can do so via my Patreon. A link to my Patreon can be found in the About section of this YouTube channel.